One of the other things too that I find a little bit frustrating, and not like a little frustrating from our perspective, but frustrating for the client as well, is a misunderstanding of properties that need some work and not seeing where the opportunity is there. You have a property, let's say you've got a property that needs rewiring, kitchen renovation, bathroom renovation, and maybe even have the basement finished. Okay, those 4 things. That property, if all of those things were done, that property would sell as a semi. That property would sell at like 1.3, 1.35, somewhere in around there, depending on the size of the property, if it has parking and all those other sort of things. So let's say 1.35. That exact property would need between $100,000 and $120,000 worth of work. If you could buy that property for 1.1 or just less than 1.1, like $1,050,000 to $1,001,000, somewhere in around that sort of area, and you put the 100 in, you've got a $50,000 to $100,000 savings.
Yeah.
Like that, you're not paying somebody else
plus the land transfer,
plus the associated land transfer tax. And we've talked about this before. Is like, why is it that we think that people aren't doing this? Like why aren't people taking advantage of these opportunities?
I think maybe people are not fully aware of the breakdown of cost and the savings, and also the uncertainty of not knowing how much work it's going to take, or how long it's going to take, or if it's going to go over budget, or maybe they're just not able to take on that extra project in their lives, like if they have kids and they're really busy.
Mm-hmm. And having the liquid cash, right, I think might be an issue for some people. You know, after you got the down payment and everything else and the higher mortgage rates, your monthly costs are up. Do you have that extra $100K just kind of sitting there, right?
Yeah.
There's some financing options that people can also have access to.
I mean, these products are always changing and moving, so I don't know what's actually available right now. You'd want to talk to a mortgage specialist about that specifically. Mm-hmm. But the opportunity here is that there are so few people that are looking specifically for this type of opportunity.
Oh yeah, there's not the same competition.
And so you would have the ability to be able to put in a conditional offer on getting that done. Or you could just go talk to your bank and be like, hey, or you know, your mortgage broker or whomever, and say, hey, this is what we're thinking about doing. What are some creative ways that we can make this happen? And take a little bit of time to be able to do your research and then decide whether or not this is something that you want to do.
If you try to do this, maybe like we can at least guide you in the beginning steps.
And we have the people to do the work as well.
With the right guidance, someone like us, we know people that we can guide the client to. And so it removes a lot of that uncertainty, because we're telling you these are good people, like these are trustworthy professionals that you should work with, because we've worked with them for years. So.
Yeah. The unfortunate part for Woodville is it falls into that sort of category where there's not enough in it for a builder or for a flipper, and it's too much for your average first-time home buyer.
The flippers are quiet these days too, like they're still kind of maybe getting their feet under them just from the, 2021, 22 kind of market.
Well, I mean, they have carrying costs as well. And there is some uncertainty in the marketplace. What I did do is I actually spent some time and read the anti-flipper tax.
Loopholes everywhere?
Nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, like nothing has changed from where it was before.
You just have to take at least a year, or?
This is the whole thing, is like this whole idea of like you got to live in it for a year and all this other stuff. The CRA doesn't actually have anything that says you're exempt if you live in the home for a year. There's nothing there. If they believe that you are a builder and you're doing this, eventually they can come after you. And there's no time limit. There's no like statute of limitations on this. They could like, oh, you've done 20 houses over the last 20 years, right? So you got like, you got to be careful with that. But the anti-flipper tax, the only thing that they're trying to do is to stop people from saying that that's their primary residence and then flipping it.
Yeah.
The tax on these flips is identical to what it was before the anti-flipper tax. So if you're doing this within a corporation, do this within a corporation, okay? Because your effective tax rate is going to be like 13 to 15%-ish. Because I'm a real estate agent, I gotta say that.
Refer to your accountant.
Getting your tax advisor. But listen, your effective tax rate is definitely going to be below 20% if it's within a corporation. Or you get hit with capital gains. And the capital gains is the exact same as it was before. And that's based on your personal tax rate and how much you're being able to pull out of this. So all of that stuff is exactly the same as it was before. But what they're saying is, we don't believe that this is your primary residence. Don't say that it is.
Yeah.
And so people were like living, like sending a cell phone bill to the place or whatever, and then saying that they live there, and then they sell it 6 months, 8 months later. Well, it's not. You never lived there. There's no like. So I get it. Like I understand why people are doing that, but.
So I wanted to ask you something going back to the fixer-upper topic. Do you have like some experience on the length of time that it takes to do something like rewiring the house? Like once you find a professional and you have a set date?
It's going to take, a week and a bit to rewire a house. Okay, it's like, let's say 10 days. It's probably not going to take 10 days, but
okay.
The issue is that they try to fish as many of the wires as possible, but ultimately they do have to open up portions of the home, like the walls, to be able to get at stuff, to do it correctly. And so the problem is that while it costs $15,000 to $20,000 to rewire a 3-bedroom, 2-story home, a number that an electrician gave me on the weekend while we're in front of Woodville. And so it's going to cost you sort of that $15,000 to $20,000 to rewire, but you still have to put the house back together. The same thing as, remember Kitech, when we did Kitech in that condo, and we still had to put everything back together, and that cost is on top of. And so, it could end up costing you another sort of $3,000 to $4,000 to put the house back together. And that's going to take another, a day to do the drywall, a day to do the mudding and the sanding, and then another day to paint it. So you're looking at probably, for something like Woodville, I would bank on 3 to 4 weeks. And so then the question is, where are you living while you're doing all of this stuff?
That's true.
And so what I would say is, live where you're living now, but plan on that. Take possession, do the work, and then make the transition from where you're living to this new place.
And I think that is also something that it's hard for people to visualize, because they haven't really thought about all these questions. Like, okay, how long is it going to take? What do I have to do? Where am I going to live in the meantime? And maybe people don't even really want to go into that thought process.
Right. How long does it take you to save $100,000?
Right. Like there is a little bit of research and homework involved. It's going to take some work.
Yeah, you need to have a team of people to put this all together, to make it work, to understand what it is, to have the confidence to pull the trigger on it. And it's not super easy, but
it's going to save
it's a savings. Like we've calculated it out. It's a savings of about at least $50,000, but $50,000 to $100,000. To save that kind of money takes years. And so the point being is, like, you're going to make yourself very uncomfortable for a couple of months. Imagine if I told you you're going to be very uncomfortable for 2 months, but I'm going to give you $100,000 at the end of it.
For sure.
You'd probably do that. And that's what we're saying. That's the message here, is like, no, this isn't going to be easy. There's a reason why everybody's not doing it. Because it is hard, because it does require having the right professionals. And like, this is something that I have personally, I personally enjoy doing this sort of thing, because it's so satisfying at the end. Done, you save that money, move in, pick all your own finishes, the backsplash, the cabinets, the countertops, the kitchen appliances, all that. You pick all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so not only do you save money, but you get what you want, and you know what's behind the walls.
yeah, you know it's done well and it's gonna be a good house for many, many years to come.